Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 955 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Pyles, joined today by the usual crew. From Wisconsin, Ben Funky Askren. From right here next to me, fresh off the road, James Dean Rader, and what a trip he had. We'll get to that. But first, let's check in with Ben. A couple days after Who's Number One, Ben, you recovered? You feeling good?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I actually took 2 days off. I didn't do anything for Sunday or Monday, which is, I don't know, first time in, who knows how many months. I can't recall the last time I actually did that. So it was really good. Kids all went off to school today, so Ozzy's in kindergarten. So that was a exciting morning here at the Askren household.
Awesome. All your little Askrens are off to school now. That's a big milestone for a family.
Yeah, so it's good. For actually, first year they're actually all in the same school, and it's gonna be the only year they're all in the same school, which is kind of sad.
Oh, well, that's cool.
I know.
At least they'll have 1 year.
So Who's Number One was awesome. We were so excited you guys bring that to Wisconsin. So I guess I got to ask you right away. Hey, can we come back to Wisconsin? We sold out. We packed the gym. We come back to Wisconsin or what?
Well, we'll have a more thorough process for next year. But
I'm gonna need you to commit right now.
All right, we're coming back to Wisconsin. Will it be for Who's Number One, or will it just be visiting Ben? I don't know. Okay. But no, our hosts at UW Parkside were phenomenal. We loved it there. We loved Kenosha. Everything about it was great. The fact that there were 2 AWA guys in there was awesome as well. Great way to close it out. And yeah, for sure, the crowd showed up and was excited, and you know they were glued and couldn't wait for a lot of those matches, and really engaged from start to finish. So it was a great experience. It was a little warm, but it wasn't.
So I already got that taken care of. You know what? I didn't think about it. So we run camps there, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, that building has AC, but not the gym,
right,
or the wrestling room. And so, you know, when we're working out, you sweat your balls off, kind of, oh well, who cares? And I didn't think about, you know, I saw it when my man Randy FRL came in with the 3-piece suit, and I said, oh, wait, we don't have AC in here. This mug's gonna be hot all night. But I talked to Craig Becker, and I think we're gonna try the portable AC units at one of our camps. I did it like 5 years ago at a different venue, and it actually works like really, really well. You'd be surprised how much coolness you get. So I think we're gonna try those next year.
Okay, AC Radio Live here. Ben's got an HVAC lane guy.
Well, I mean,
up
for all,
already.
Listen, I'm sure there's a lot of people who deal with hot wrestling rooms and hot wrestling camps, and I'm just letting you know they actually work. So we did 2 portable ACs and 1 portable dehumidifier. Work like a charm. And actually, you know, sometimes in summer when they're sweating too much, that's a little bit of a liability issue.
Yeah, you gotta keep them cooled down. Okay, so let's talk about the wrestling itself. Maybe starting with the main event: Sinclair, Mirasola, 2 Askren guys. You were in Aiden's corner. Max was in Connor Mirasola's. Start with you. Your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I haven't even talked to Aiden yet, because I told him, he was all worried about everything that happened. And I said, listen, I need you to just enjoy the fact that you are in the number 1 spot in the country. Take a couple days off, and we will talk about it. So if he's listening, this will be the first time he hears it from me.
Do you mean like just the sort of awkwardness of beating your teammate? Is that what you mean?
No. Just all his mistakes or problems or things he can fix. You know, it was like he wanted to worry about them on Saturday night, and I said, I don't want you to worry about them, because there's a healthy balance of being like obsessive, and then like sometimes you do some really awesome things, and you just need to take some time and enjoy it. Yeah. So that was I refused to talk. He kept trying to text me on Saturday night, and I'm like, nope, I will not talk to you about anything. So I was just like, no, I'll talk to you Wednesday. I just kept ignoring him. So, you know, Connor did a great job in the first period controlling the hand fight. And actually after that period, I was really, you know, a little bit concerned, like, oh man, you know, Aiden's he's kind of getting dominated in the hand fight. Connor's really taking ground and moving forward. You know, that being said, Connor wasn't able to really put an attack together to get close to a score. And in the second period, you know, Aiden's had this thing, because I kind of won't teach him how to ride, because I kind of think there's a lot of important things first. But obviously, he's gotten pretty good on top, right? He rode the number 1 guy in the country for 2 minutes straight. So the plan was hit some of these. He does that. I don't even know what the damn move's called. It's really good. It's really annoying. We're actually going to work more of it this week. What's that move called?
Which move? The ankle pitch? Yeah.
Mako does it really good. Penn State does it really good.
He did it really, really well.
Whatever that is, Aiden he's super annoying there because I even have trouble. I know how I stop him from doing it to me now, but it's really tricky, and he's really, really good with it. So he was able to ride out the second period, and then obviously Connor had to be a little too aggressive in the third period, and Aiden was able to counter and score. Yeah,
it was a really impressive ride. I was surprised to hear you say he dominated. He was controlling center more, but in the hand fight. I guess my biggest surprise of the match was Mirasola just not even getting close to a leg, no connection on any shot whatsoever. I thought that was an area he could. I would also say.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would also say like Aiden's offensive output lent itself well to him not getting in because he really thrives on like re-attacks and guys attacking a little lower, and Aiden didn't really do that once.
Yeah, so I mean that was so Aiden. Listen, this is Aiden's goal for the fall is learn how to go underneath people better because he's not great at it, and so we kind of decided, well, the worst person to get it started against is Connor Mirasola because he's so good at go behind. So we're gonna really not go underneath him, or really a limited amount. We're not gonna shoot underneath him. So we're gonna try to utilize drags under other things he's good at in order to score. And with Aiden, he's tough to get to. His baseline defense is really good. So you gotta kind of take a lot of volume shots and then obviously be good at not getting scored on when he tries to re-attack you. That's kind of like, for me, that's the key against him. I think I see that's what Mitchell does when he wrestles him as well sometimes. And Aiden's not an easy puzzle to figure out. He hasn't lost in America since April of 2022. And, he didn't wrestle. He made one mistake at Worlds, and the guy did have a counter score on him. The guy didn't actually score on him offensively. It was, he really tried to force a duck too much and then didn't give himself enough time to come back. But he actually doesn't get scored on all that frequently. I guess the one match would be the Joey Novak last year where he did get scored on a few times.
Yeah. So after like you said, Mirasola had to get a little more aggressive, a little out of position on a shot. Aiden hits a nice re-attack and gets the double leg finish and then gets the ride. Very, very impressive performance there. I kind of had wondered if Connor had maybe narrowed the gap enough that this could be really a little closer, but not yet, at least.
Well, it was kind of, honestly, besides the ride, it was kind of the same match, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Last time might have been a takedown and a reversal, or I forget because Aiden wrestled Connor and Koll on the same day. So, both of them were really close, but yeah, it was one takedown, and Koll still got to figure out how to get to Aiden's legs and score him.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a cool conclusion, and excited to watch both their careers and Koll's kind of unfold at the next level, because I think all three can have really bright futures. Okay. Other matches that we can work backwards. We don't have to go through every match because my goodness.
Okay.
But Forrest Rainey, easily GOAT, who's number one match.
We're going to the best match right away. Skipping right to it.
Yeah, we'll go where we feel. I'm not going to talk about everything. That was just incredible. It was like, you can get some high-scoring matches sometimes, but the back-and-forth nature of this one and Rainey's like fight and desire to keep himself in the match, when every time it looked like it'd be over, Rainey would do something, get some takedowns, and then every time it felt like Rainey had firmly shifted momentum, Jax would get a takedown all the way till the very end, and you get overtime. And I was so impressed with both guys. Yeah,
I would voice the same thing. I've said now, both after Fargo, which was one Rainey brother, and the Worlds in Greco, albeit even he showed great feel in Greco, their feel and the way they move is really awesome, and they've kind of really figured out a lot of positions. So I think I said on Thursday, I told Stian to bet this one as match of the night, and it was in fact match of the night. So the 3-point takedowns, this is actually the only match where it came into effect. So Forrest actually had 2 reversals. So under old scoring system, Forrest would have won in regulation over Rainey. So the 3-point takedowns do matter. Rainey, the other really positive thing Rainey did, which is funny because he gave 2 reversals, he wrote out 2 periods. He wrote out the second period and he wrote out the third period where he had forced finishing on bottom in that period. So yeah, just a kind of awesome match by both guys. I think the gym was like standing and clapping for them the whole time. They were really into it. Yeah, nothing but positive things to say about these two.
Yeah, set an incredible tone for the evening as well. The Knox DeLuca match was also totally insane, just in how it ended. It looked like DeLuca had executed a textbook game plan against Anthony. Mm-hmm. He got the opening takedown. He was really... Anthony wasn't even close.
I don't think there was a takedown.
For DeLuca?
There wasn't, was there? Wasn't it 2-0 when he ducked him or no?
No, he had like a misdirection single leg.
Oh, that was right. He didn't choose bottom. That was what it was, right?
Right, yeah, he didn't go under in the third.
That's what it was. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, he had it. He'd done everything, and like really, Knox was never close to a score, and then able to get that final takedown, and then Knox or DeLuca was fighting so hard at the end to not give up the takedown. He ends up going to his back.
Yeah, which at that point, kind of whatever, right? The takedown loses it for you. Might as well fight all the way. Yeah, I thought that last, it was a duck that he hit. I think a duck to a bear hug. He had tried it, 1 or 2 times prior to not getting it, and it was just one of those things where it's like he's like, I'm gonna force this, and I'm gonna keep forcing it because this is where I'm at, and I'm gonna try to win the match. And DeLuca maybe just let up just a little bit, and that was all that it took, and he was able to get to the bear hug.
Yeah, it was like the same attack twice in a row.
Yeah,
and he eventually got to it. So that was an amazing match, and the Who's Number One sort of had this little theme at the end of training partners and friends wrestling each other, because those guys are extremely close.
They are?
Well.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they're like best friends. They train together.
Oh, wow.
They train together all the time. Nice. So it was sort of, I don't think it was like natural for them to have that match, deep down, but they knew it was the best match and way to get involved in the event. So it was cool.
You know which match was really low scoring but high, really fun scrambles and high levels? Was Davino Larkin.
I knew
Davino was able to
get
some attacks. Larkin had some good counter attacks and wasn't quite able to get any scores. That was a really fun match.
Yes, it was, no doubt. Any other matches stick out for you?
Well, obviously Zepeda and Bassett, and we questioned Bassett bumping up this much in weight because he had just wrestled.
Yeah.
21 and 25 were his last 2 competitions, I believe. And he got kind of put to his back right away, and then he got up and he got a takedown right away, and you think, oh, okay, this is a 7-minute match. Is Zepeda going to be able to hold up? But then Zepeda got the takedown on the right in a second, and then gets I think a couple takedowns in the third before the fall.
Yeah.
So
I
really dominant performance by him. I haven't paid a ton of attention to Daniel Zepeda for whatever reason. It's a lot of times I'm watching whoever AWA guys are wrestling, and just by chance maybe I don't get to see them a lot. But I know this guy had a lot of big wins at the P&L Chicago last year. They had a crazy bracket. I can't remember who was in it right now. But man, he just keeps racking up win after win after win.
He's super good. I felt like that match, everyone's going to talk about the size. To me, what stood out and what really made the difference was tactics. I thought Bo was, I don't know if over wrestling or he was just too trying to make it happen. He was trying to employ breaking, like, it seemed like he felt Zepeda was breaking during a time Zepeda was not breaking at all, and was implementing tactics like releasing him right away and just over aggressive in the snaps, and just I felt like he just didn't make the adjustments more than anything. Didn't wrestle even when he gave up the near fall. I felt like that turn was more about Bo's kind of rushing the position more than Zepeda executing a turn in that first period. You know what I'm saying? Like he brought himself out of position.
The scrambles too, and there was a scramble actually in the first period. I think, and maybe it was the one where Bassett got the takedown, but Bassett was almost pinned there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where he tried rolling him through and he kind of got caught for a minute, and then they got in that same scramble in the third period.
You did see that. That's where I saw the weight. When he was trying to pass and do certain things like that, I was like, he's probably passing this with a lot more fluidity against someone a little smaller. But to me, as dominant as Zepeda was, I didn't leave that match thinking, oh, there's no way, there's no scenario Bo would ever win that match. But with those tactics, he never will.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's another match where obviously if he gets off his back, it's 22-7, but he actually, under normal high school scoring, I think it's actually like 16-6 or something, right? Because he had a bunch of takedowns and a 3-point near fall. That would all be minus 1 point for that, and then the last near fall would be minus another point. So I guess the one positive, I'd say a really positive thing about the 3-point takedown, and I actually looked through all 10 matches this morning to make sure I wasn't like misremembering anything. It affected the outcome of one match. That's it, right? But the other thing that I think about sometimes in folk style, the 15-point tech fall is just it's so far, especially if you're not getting a ton of turns. In freestyle, 5 takedowns would be a tech fall, right? And in folk style, on a 2-point system, it's probably like somewhere between 13 and 15, depending on if you ride out periods and stuff like that, right? That's just so many that's so many takedowns. It takes so long to get there. So if you want to shorten it up, and because obviously it could be now somewhere between, say, 6 or 7, that's kind of like, that's fine for me. I don't really see the issue.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I think it could be narrowed for sure. Okay, anything else? Who's number one? We've got a lot to get to. We got to get to Rob Koll.
Castillo and
Kenny.
I actually thought it was maybe going to be like last year where Castillo bumped up and there was a weight disadvantage, but Castillo-Kenny was a lot of fun. Castillo won in overtime. Let's see, is that it? Sorry, let me look through all of this to confirm. Merrill was really dominant in his match.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's all I got.
I know with Merrill, I'm like, he may not be by process, this guy, but there's not a more impressive high schooler to me right now. There's not a guy like that I think could go and contend. Like, I could see him entering Division I tournaments and having success even right now. Maybe not an All-American this year.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
hold on. I feel that way about a bunch of them. You don't?
I mean, I do. I think there are others, but I'm saying he's the one that stands out the most for me.
And he would be at 97. Obviously, he's not going to do it at heavyweight.
Like Jax Forrest is. He obviously has. He beat Brett Unger last year. He certainly can. But I just think, if you're giving up 15 points in a folk style match right now in high school, that's going to show up. But I just love Merrill's. I feel like his game is really, really safe and just going to translate really well. And obviously Forrest is going to also, and many of these guys. But for me, Merrill just stands out with his dominance, his strength. His technique looks just so clean. And I think wherever he goes, it's going to work. Yeah.
I would say, to that, Christian, I would say Forrest already has, right? He's won some matches. He beat the Cornell kid last year. A Kyler Larkin, I want to say he beat a couple good kids because he was in UWW juniors, not cadets. Connor beat, who the heck did he beat? It wasn't an All-American, but it was someone who wasn't really all that far off. So I think a lot of these, at this point, if you're a really high-level high school kid, you can compete with that, I don't know, we'll say 6 through 20 range of college kid. Like, you could lose to some of the kids who are maybe not that high, but you may sneak a win against someone who's better.
Put it this way, I think Merrill's the best high school wrestler in America.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah.
Better than, who wasn't there? Because, not going to get the rankings. Zach Ryder and...
Yes.
We should do Merrill versus Hopke. Why did we do that one?
Hopke didn't want to be in he played football.
Oh, okay. Well, like Luke Lilladall. That's another one that
I think Cody Merrill would beat him personally.
What'd you say?
I think Merrill beats him personally.
You think Merrill beats
Luke Lilladall?
Wait, Hopke?
Luke
Lilladall.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Shut up.
You don't agree? All right, Ben disagrees. We'll set it up.
Oh my God, you're being ridiculous. They may say. No, Luke Uladol has been super impressive. He's one that's continued to get better and better.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Honestly, Hopke versus Merrill's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if Hopke, he's got football maybe, so I don't think he wrestles in this fall stuff. Yeah, it's a fun match.
Yeah.
I will say not maybe best, but Jax Forrest is kind of becoming like the face of high school wrestling right now, and that's just because of how much he wrestles and puts it on the line.
And also how he wrestles, too.
Yes.
Like, he wrestles like his hair's on fire the entire time. He's
I never heard that phrase. Where'd you get that one?
I don't know. I didn't make it up.
Okay. That's an old saying back in Virginia.
Yeah, Boy, he came out like his hair's on fire.
Oh, man. That's kind of a good saying. I kind of like it.
Yeah, well, you can use it.
I might use that. The Rainey brothers do that, too.
Oh, yeah. Savages.
That's why their match was so
Savages.
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I would say if I was advising Jax Forrest, and it is funny because he has so many different coaches, and to me, that could go one of two ways. I've said this exact same thing about him before. It's like, this could be super brilliant or it could be a total backfire. I'm not certain. But the one thing I see with him is just almost a little too funky, right? And not quite fundamental enough. And who knows, maybe he's tall and lanky. Maybe he grows in and gets a little more powerful. And, I could see him having trouble against someone like a Davino would be a great example who beat him in the UWW. Could have found someone who's really fundamental, strong, solid, and kind of powerful.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm curious as I look at Jax, like, how big is this guy going to be? Is he be like a 49, 57 by the time he's in college? That wouldn't really surprise me.
Oh, not at all. I mean, I think it's one of those where, is he going to fill into his body or will he always be skinny, right? Because there are certain guys who are just going to be skinny kind of their whole lives, right? And there's certain guys who fill out into the weight class. Yeah, I don't know.
There aren't many. Think of a middleweight, which let's just say Jax will be, that is that spindly right now at high level. It's
spindly?
Like spindly, like
spindly. Now you're offended, going here offending people.
Like what? Spindly's not offensive.
I know what you're saying, but it's kind of offensive.
What's offensive about spindly?
Hey, Zepeda beat Kyler Larkin and Dalton Perry last year at P&L. I looked it up, so I knew.
Yeah. Anyways.
Spindly is not a great term. Yeah, so Keegan O'Toole would be one that was like, because I want to say he was the same height, and I think like the one year he wrestled 65 kg or something. I remember the one year he was wrestling 132, so it's 60. He's probably a little shorter. And he was, the kids always want to get big. He's like, next year I'm gonna be a 74 kilogram. I'm like, my butt, you are. And I think I actually said, I don't know if you're ever gonna get to be a 74 kilogram because his dad is. Well, I don't want to listen. Brian O'Toole might attack me for this, but he's a little bit spindly, Yeah. And so I said, your dad's kind of skinny. I don't know if you're ever going to be that big. And look, he's grown into 74.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah. That's not the first time you've insulted Brian O'Toole's physique on this show. Talked about his buggy whips.
Buggy whips, great term. That would be a term you used of someone who's got spindly arms.
Okay, wow. So you're joining the offensive party here.
Let's just offend as many people as we can, make people mad.
Spindly
I actually think that
live.
is a negative part of being on this show for me, Christian, because, we just have to watch. We have to watch, and we have to say what we think is the truth. And me, I may do it a little more direct and to the point than you. You may make it a little more soft. And then so people take us like, I don't like them. And it's like, no, I'm just saying what I see, and that's it. Like, don't get so mad about it.
Yeah, you don't have to like Brian O'Toole. It's fine.
No, I love him. He's great. He's awesome.
Maybe you want to fight him. I don't know. But it's okay.
He does. He tries to come and get aggressive with me. Every time he sees me, he comes and gets aggressive with me.
Okay, I can see that. Okay, we got to talk about this.
I know that's what we're talking about right there. I saw him on Saturday night.
Rob Koll. He was there in his Carolina blue. I grabbed him before he left. Got an interview with the man. The new head coach at UNC, that was announced on Thursday. I think it's seismic. I think it's huge. I think the potential at UNC is. We talked about it. I talked about it on the show not long ago. that I think it's really high, and maybe Ben doesn't agree, maybe he does, but I
agree.
I think he's going to be able to do a great job there, and I think it's just a huge move in general, and I'm really curious to see how the next 6 months plays out with recruiting, development, etc. But I think for Rob, it's a great move, and I think for UNC, no-brainer hire.
Yes, great hire. The question I have for someone was, because I don't see why didn't he go for the job? Was he just doing too well at Cornell? Because Coleman Scott, actually, now that I thought about it, my first feeling was Coleman Scott's only been there for a few years, but now I feel like it's actually maybe been a little bit.
16, I think. 16 or so.
17, 16?
15 or 16.
I think 15 he was hired as an assistant, 16.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rob was probably just doing too well and enjoying Cornell too much because the feedback I got from people is that he went to college there. This is his dream job. This is something he's always wanted to do. But obviously he didn't go for it last time. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think 2014, 15, maybe had it rolling too well at Cornell and thought maybe not now, would be my guess. Because in 2020, everything sort of shifted on his view of how things were at Cornell, obviously, which is what prompted him going to. Well, and he almost went to UNC in like not a coaching role, but something. He almost went from Cornell to UNC during that time until Stanford opened up. And when they reinstated, he went there. But he almost went there to, I don't know, be around the program, fundraiser. I'm not sure exactly what. But then that got blown up when he went to Stanford, and he took that job, which was, looked to be heading in a great direction. And then he said he was shocked that Coleman left the position, and it was kind of a no. It sounded to me like there was no consideration of staying at Stanford for Rob. He was dead set on going, and also like the location was a big factor as well for he and his wife, just getting back to their alma mater. And they've been together since they were, I think he said, I can't remember if it was on the interview or before, like since they were like 16 years old. It's kind of incredible.
Wow. So she went to North Carolina as well?
Yes, that's what I gleaned from that.
Got it. And I said this last week, and now his dad coached there also, correct?
I thought he coached at UNI.
His dad was a 3-time national champ at UNI.
Oh, okay.
I thought his dad also
United.
coached Bill Koll also coached at UNC.
I don't know if he did, but he definitely coached at Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State. Okay.
But I don't know if he could have also coached at UNC.
From Fort Dodge, Iowa, baby. Hold on.
All right. Bill Koll's got a Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Boom, I'm going to look him up.
He's a legend.
Oh, this man was born in 1923. What a savage.
Penn State. What a savage. Let me just list a birth date.
Bill Koll, he stormed Normandy.
Yeah, absolute beast.
What?
Yes.
Dude, that's what I think of sometimes when I'm doing hard things. I tell myself, okay, there were some dudes who were on a boat who ran off the boat onto the beach with machine gun fire. I'm being a coward. I need to go do this thing.
Yep.
Right?
Perspective is powerful.
Very powerful.
Okay, there's a book. Oh, no, it's a podcast. Darn it.
Yeah, 14 seasons as the head coach of Penn State.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course, Rob was almost the coach at Penn State during the initial Koll time. And then Koll came in, and that was that.
So I'm assuming then Rob actually grew up in State College because his dad was the head coach there, correct?
Now I'm having a hard time putting the timelines together, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm guessing the answer is yes, but who knows?
I'm guessing so as well. I mean, Bill died in State College.
Yeah. Let's see.
This is the Koll Family Radio Live. We're gonna go next to their genealogy there, hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why are you talking like that? They're not from Kenosha,
My wife started embellishing her Wisconsin accent yesterday, and our kids got so mad. She's like, "That is not what Wisconsin people talk like." And my wife's like, "Have you not listened to anyone? What are you talking about?" And they're like, "No one sounds like that." And I'm like, "Well, every time Christian tries to make fun of us Wisconsin people, that's what he sounds like."
Well, that's what they sound like. I'm just sounding like them, Ben. But they're nice people.
So funny.
Okay. So, Rob, and I think no-brainer move of no-brainer moves is keeping Tony Ramos on. I think that's really smart by Rob. Rob mentioned he'd actually tried to hire Tony to Stanford back when he went there. So he's excited to work with Tony. I'm sure for Tony it's a great opportunity as well. Gets to stay at UNC, which I know Tony loves being in Chapel Hill and UNC. So worked out great there. I don't know if you got to listen to the interview yet, Ben, but I asked him if he was going to go after his Stanford commits, and he said obviously. So some of that massive recruiting class could.
I love it when they're just honest, though.
I would like to power rank the most candid college coaches. He would be up there. Kevin Dresser would be up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, obviously. So that's pretty.
Yeah, Stanford needs to get head coach real quick then, like ASAP tomorrow.
And that's what's interesting. It's like, who throws their hat in the ring? And it's so late. This is so late in the game,
So late, for real.
But
if they wait, if they don't hire someone for 6 weeks, a bunch of them dudes are gonna leave.
It won't be 6 weeks. There's no way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They need to make this happen quickly.
They've got to do it in like 2. I mean, less than 2.
When does Stanford start school? Because I believe aren't they on like trimesters and they start later or something?
I'm not as familiar with the academic calendar of Stanford as I used to be. Let me see what I can dig up.
Oh yeah, I'm correct. Dude, listen, I got all the answers. You need something, you just ask me. It's September 19th for new student orientation, September 21st for undergraduates.
That's huge.
So so they have not started yet. Whereas a lot of this that's probably very helpful to Mr. Rob Koll, because if they had already started school, 2 to 3 weeks ago, that would be probably harder to get them to unenroll and then come to his place.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant his recruiting class, not taking guys off the current Stanford roster.
Oh, really? But that's what everyone else does. Why not?
I don't know. That's what I asked him about. I don't know that he wouldn't, but that's not what I asked him about. I asked him about his recruiting class that was unsigned. I don't see any Stanford kids leaving this year, like before this season.
I mean, technically, they're probably already enrolled in classes that have already started at UNC.
They've already got all kinds of syllabi and whatnot. It's impossible.
Syllabi.
You can't leave.
North Carolina definitely probably started their school year already, so maybe it's hard to get in.
Yeah. These are not the most seamless schools to just, transfer from one to the other. But it's easier probably to go from Stanford to UNC.
Motivation, you can make some things happen.
There you go. You can falsify some transcripts if necessary.
So that's got to take it to extreme.
So the ACC is going to be nuts because, listen, Rob Koll's going to take UNC to
this is ridiculous, Christian.
What? That Stanford's in the ACC?
I didn't even know. I was hanging out with Coach Smith on Saturday. He's already telling me. It's like, wait, this team's in the ACC. I'm like, wait, what? It's preposterous.
Nothing says Atlantic like Palo Alto, California. Coast? Sure. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But yeah, Stanford moves to the ACC. Hopefully they remain on a similar trajectory and strength and are on solid footing as they have been since being reinstated. If you consider they're coming, and now you have to assume UNC is going to improve, and even though they were at a pretty high height, they got 12th at NCAAs last year, which is incredible. 2-time NCAA champion with Austin O'Connor. They were not. I think their level of dual competitiveness is going to increase. They did not have a great regular season at UNC last year, as admitted by the coaches. Yeah. And so I think that level's gonna get raised. And then you have Stanford coming in, Pitt's only getting better, and Virginia Tech and NC State are still high bars to clear for that conference. So we've seen the Big 12 absolutely strengthen, and the ACC now is stronger. So some depth being created in all those conferences. So I think that's an exciting dynamic as well.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Smith was talking about at some point Well, because there's a few West Coast teams that have gotten left out of this thing. So at some point they're probably going to create some type of separate West Coast thing or something to that effect, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah, I mean, why not start like an EIWA, but for the West Coast type of deal? You know, EIWA is not a real conference outside of wrestling. It's only wrestling. There used to be the Western Wrestling Conference. It was like Wyoming and South Dakota State and some others. So yeah, they could do that. I'm curious if that's what will happen, but you know, Oregon State is officially like they're like Mountain West or nothing. It looks like right now.
They're the ones that got screwed by it all, right?
Yep. But
oh man,
I talked with Coach Pendleton. He's like, man, there's so much misinformation about Oregon State right now, being perpetrated by other coaches in recruiting.
Being whatted? Perpetrated?
Is that the word? Not
I don't know.
perpetrated.
What are you trying to describe?
Spread. Well, what I'm saying is coaches are using Oregon State's conference situation as for negative recruiting.
Makes sense.
But it's not true. Oregon State's in a very healthy spot for wrestling.
Nice.
So, big stuff. Curious to watch the next year or so unfold for UNC wrestling. Brayton Lee to Indiana. I think that was one of the schools we sort of threw out there as an option just because he's from Indiana and Chad Redd coaches there. So that just makes sense.
That's a good one.
It's good for them. I like for Brayton, I know he's just so banged up. He kind of wants a really limited schedule so he can go hard at his final run.
I heard other rumors about Minnesota this weekend. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about any of them.
What, Gable coming back?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, what? I mean, it's absolutely.
I got good sources too. I got boots on the ground.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. The question for me right now is he doing Worlds?
Ooh, that's quick. I don't know if you guys realize this. We only have 11 days till the first day of Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off with freestyle.
It do. When is Team USA going to the?
Or is it the 15th? It might be only 10 days.
When do they leave?
Yeah, when are they going to be there?
Very soon, because I know they're doing acclimation camp in Germany for like a week.
Yep.
So they probably leave literally in the next 2 days.
So we need to see, any Gable Dan footage from Germany.
Flight tracker, yeah.
Can we just?
Oh, flight tracker. That's a good one. We should use that.
But you can't track if someone's on a plane.
Oh, or can you? I know people.
Deep State Ben can. We don't have access to those documents.
Let's see. So actually, we're probably only 10 and a half days away because this is in Serbia, so we got deduct half a day there. I think we're good to go.
Yep, very soon.
How many hours ahead are they of us? Because I don't like that wake up middle of the night watching wrestling. It's too early.
It's early or late, depending on how you do it.
Oof.
Man, I'm trying to think. What was the one? I think it was Georgia. There was one that was like perfectly like. Wrestling started. This was like 2016 or so. Wrestling started at midnight. It was so brutal.
But then you got to kind of stay up the whole day because then you got you have the 4 hour first session and then the break's usually not that long. The break's like I don't know what 4 hours or 3 hours somewhere in there, and then they got the next round after that. Yeah. It's
6:09 p.m. in Georgia.
I got 4:09 in Serbia.
I'm looking at Georgia. I'm trying to confirm if that was the one.
Georgia's only 1 hour ahead of us.
It's probably the one that was in Kazakhstan, Christian. That's probably the one. That one.
No, Georgia. It was in Tbilisi. Why are you hell bent on correcting me? You don't even know what I'm talking about. You're just correcting me to correct me. You don't think there's ever been a age level world championship in Georgia?
I'm just messing with you. I'm laughing.
I should have fought you when I had the chance. When you're old and decrepit.
So we got 10:30 a.m. wrestling the first day. So that's 3:30 a.m. for us. Semifinal. See, semifinal is what I'm talking about. Semifinals will be right at noon. That's perfect.
That's nice.
Let's do it.
That's when you get nice and rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Avery Gaming says you can track who's on the flight, CP. That's just not true. Such a lie. Okay. Man, we got to talk Hey, did you see what JD and Tyler were up to the last week, Ben?
I have watched. I just watched. You know what? They got to eat lunch with Mitchell Messerink yesterday. That was very. Where did he take you? He was trying to say it was high, but to me it looked like the second story. So I don't think it was that high.
That's what I thought too.
It was absolutely the second.
I thought so.
He's like, yeah, you get a great view. Like,
it kind of was high for State College, though. I will say
funny.
That. He said your feet are disgusting.
Yeah, he made mention of that several times.
Why is he coming to me like that? I didn't do nothing to him. This is your interview.
We were talking about going barefoot places, and he was like, "Yeah, Ben does it all the time," and he put me off of it because his feet are so disgusting.
No, I'm a natural man here, man of the earth.
I know you are, and it's turned your feet disgusting.
He said
Okay, but here's the other thing. Listen, I'm a geography major, so I wanted to say this when I heard Mitchell say the valley. If there's a valley, there's a reason there's a valley. There's got to be hills on that son of a gun, right? Maybe it's like this, maybe it's like this. But you go up on the hill, then you see the whole thing.
That's true.
This is true.
But if you're in the valley, you can't.
Well, surely someone said, like, hey, there's a valley. Someone want to live up on that hill over there because it's going to be a good view. And then someone said, yeah, that's cool. Let's do that.
Well, he hasn't lived there very long, so
Okay.
give
I
him
bet David Taylor lives up on the hill. Probably Kale, too. Kale probably lives at the top of the hill. He's got his, he's got that one of those big telescopes, and he's watching what all his dudes are doing.
He has to put a quarter in every time he wants to watch.
Yeah,
though.
he's like, I don't know why I didn't just spring for the one you can use anytime, but this is still pretty sweet. Fortunately, I have a lot of quarters. Okay, so yeah, that was great. I gotta say, man, it was so fun following along what you guys were doing. If you haven't seen, the series is up. It's on the site. It's on Facebook, YouTube. These guys went to 7 D1 schools in 7 days, and they slept in wrestling rooms every single night in order to raise money for Maui, which they raised a lot of money, in fact, because you guys were also involved in donating a lot. It was awesome. I was exceptionally very, very proud of the work they were able to do. I thought it was like, man, this is what we want to be doing. This is the great, they pitched this idea a couple weeks ago, a month or two now maybe, and I thought, oh, this will be cool, and then it ended up being just so totally awesome, and there's more to come still.
Yep, still more coming out, and on this feed, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, we will be uploading all the interviews we did on here kind of in team chunks. That'll start going up today. So if you missed any of the interviews, there's a lot of good ones that you want to listen to. You can do so right here.
Yeah, so
podcast feed.
Yeah, so it'll be in your feed, which is something we're just kind of trying to see if you guys like that, because I know for me, like, I want to listen to all the interviews, but it's not as easy to pull them up on my phone. If they were just on a podcast player, I think it'd be a lot easier. And the interviews were really good, so I want to hear them, and I figured you guys might too. So be on the lookout for those in the feed starting today.
Yeah, probably.
What was your favorite stop, JD?
Every stop was kind of unique for its own reason or fun. Like, Penn State's cool because you get to talk to national champs and you don't get to go there all the time. West Virginia's cool because I'd never been there. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Lock Haven was cool because they took us to a little town festival. Virginia Tech was cool because Jimmy Mullen took us on the football field. So every place kind of had its own unique thing that made it really cool.
Yeah, you went to a lot of just beautiful places too.
Yeah, it was.
After
there are worse places to drive for hours and hours through.
Yeah, well, it looked like a heck of a lot of fun. Did you learn anything? Any little juicy tidbits?
Probably. I took in a lot of information last week, so let me see.
What do you think about Mullen? Do you think we'll see him some this year?
On the wrestling mat or football field?
Mm-hmm. Wrestling mat.
I think the plan is probably for him to redshirt this year, but
they could use him in some duels.
Yeah, he's still intended to do both. He's still working out with both, and it sounds like both teams are really working together for him to do both. So
was Sonny Sasso there?
I'm so skeptical of these dudes that sit there and do both.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of them now, right? I think Keeter obviously is one. Jimmy Mullen. I think maybe didn't the kid from Illinois, Dylan Johnson, said that also. It's so hard, and the season goes so long for football. It just doesn't leave yourself much time for wrestling.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
I'm always skeptical as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like
that one really big good kid Christian, like say 5 years ago, and he mainly played football, but I think he said he was going to wrestle also. He's like a national champ, went to Nebraska. Do you remember that guy?
No,
from South Dakota.
Looked like Brett Lochner a little bit. Yeah, South Dakota.
Yeah, Hutmacher, Nash Hutmacher.
Was he good at football or no?
I don't know. Let's look.
Nebraska's not very good. 0-1 this year.
Says he's got a yeah. Here we go. Plays at Nebraska, dude. He's like getting interviewed with the. Yeah, he must be decent. Oh, what a beast!
Beast.
Played in 11 games in 2021. Key member of the Husker D-line. It's a sophomore. Played in every game. 15 tackles. So yeah, he's a contributor.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah, he was a beast. Osa Odigizua. Do you remember him, Ben?
Who?
Osa Odigizua.
You are making that name up.
No. He was a Fargo champ from Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And now he plays for I'm pretty sure he plays for the Cowboys. He's like he's like a exceptional, I'm pretty sure, defensive lineman.
Have you ever heard of Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
He never won Fargo, though. Yeah, Osa, yeah, he's on the Cowboys. He's really good. He went to UCLA. Anyway. Football Radio Live.
I swear to God, though, if we don't do tiers on Thursday, I'm leaving the show.
I'm gonna just keep pasting it in there.
Teasing tiers.
You know what? Teasing tiers. Like the last 11 episodes or something.
If Shane's on Thursday, tiers could break him because the idea of separating these guys, man.
We can't let Shane on. If we're doing tiers, Shane's not coming on because he will just be so indecisive and not put anyone in a tier, and it'll be infuriating.
Yeah, because anyone he will tier. And honestly, 125 will be one of the most fun or maybe difficult, I don't know, ones to tier because we don't have to get into it because we should get to questions, but it's a pretty crazy weight class. This is a funny question to me. I just love how it's written. From Bennett Durham Klein. What is the most absurd rule in wrestling?
What is the most absurd rule
it's like
in
not
wrestling?
What's the dumbest rule or worst rule? What's the most absurd? I'll say, as bad as I think grounded is, it's a bad rule. I think the slip is the most absurd.
Oh, yes. Good call.
Absurd. Yes, why? Why do we have this?
Also, correct throw, Christian. Because if it was a correct throw, everyone says this, but it's so obvious. If you did it correctly, they'd be on their back or you get a takedown. Yeah. If they land back on their knees or their feet, it's not correct.
They should just change the name of it to high amplitude throw or something like that, because especially in Greco, I at least get it where you want dudes throwing them, even if they don't necessarily get the takedown or the guy ends up on his back, and you can still be like, that was sick. You should get a point or two for that.
Yeah.
You
know what I was thinking? Obviously something like that, like a grounded, comes into play all the time. The most ridiculous rule is probably something like really obscure that you very rarely see. Like there's one, I'm going to call it one of our coaches, because Josh Wagner, he does this all the time, and I think it lacks integrity. He's our AWA Green Bay coach. There's the one gimmick where if you have a figure four on one leg on top in folk style, and your foot crosses over the other leg. You know what I'm saying?
If you have a figure four.
If you have a figure four, right? And so your left leg is behind your right knee. Okay? So then your right leg is sticking out behind it because your right leg is straight. And if your right leg goes over their ankle, that actually it's called an over scissors, and it's a penalty point. He'll just stop the match all the time, like, over scissors, and he gets points for it all the time. I have no idea why it's illegal, but it is the dumbest rule ever. You know, and 98% of the kids, 99, no, let's say 100% of the kids do it by accident because there is not really any advantage to actually doing that, and I have no idea why it's illegal. So something like that, where it's very obscure, and I only know it's a rule because freaking Josh Wagner doesn't have the ethics to not yell at people for doing it.
Wow, unethical Josh Wagner. I think yeah, I have never heard of that. Have you?
Yes, Josh gets points for it all the time. He really does. Like, because he'll tell us, he'll be like, look, I'm gonna get a point. I want to get my guy a point on this one because no one knows to not do it because it's obscure.
That is so obscure.
Yeah,
you'd be hard pressed. This is a challenge to the fans. Find a more obscure rule in wrestling.
That's very obscure. You know what I think is dumb? Like, we are so ingrained in it because it's always been a rule, and we know folks are wrestling. But if you look at it from an outsider perspective, that you can't lock your hands on
I knew
top
you were going to say that.
Is so weird. Like,
well, but yeah, I mean,
I get it because then
goes
you
into
can just stand
I
up.
said this, but like, top is so much easier, and that's why there has to be all these rules.
I know, but it's
you know
like
what I'm saying or no?
crazy. Like, if you want to go like purist, like you got on top, you should be able to lock your hands.
Yeah, or figure four the body. Like, the figure four the body. They would say, allegedly it's illegal because you hurt people. But we see it all the time in jiu-jitsu. No one hurts anyone in jiu-jitsu from a body figure four. So it's like, well, how did they hurt him in wrestling? I'm not quite certain.
Well, at least that one has an excuse. It's not a good excuse, but it has one. The only excuse for not being able to lock your hands on top is that it makes it too hard to escape.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's a good enough reason. It's
yes,
like,
listen,
agree. You'll never get out. Because, all right, think about it like this. What if in football, you were just able to tackle the receivers as soon as the ball snapped immediately? Like, offense would cease to exist.
No,
and you wouldn't have
agree.
a good game. So I like it. I don't know. You're right that it is sort of weird, but it is so ingrained. I'm cool with it. I'm cool.
You know what? Another dumb one in freestyle, that you can't ever put two hands on the head. Like, I could see on bottom, so you can't pull the gut wrenches over. I could see that. But like on your feet, like sometimes when you're it's like, dude, it's like, what's the problem here?
Oh, we had this kid at Buffalo Gap. He would get this in a collar tie, and he would do it real fast, and he would raise his. I swear, this kid is
like he's gonna knee him in the face.
This kid is insane. For the record, this kid was insane. He almost started fights.
Literally, he's actually in an asylum right now.
He started all. That is possible. He would do here, and he would raise his knee up so that the guy would like drop to defend himself, and then he would like snap down, go behind.
It was the worst setup.
It was lunacy, but he did it.
All right, I got it for you right here. So it is on. I'm gonna put this in the doc. It's page 17, middle. It's the middle upper. Like there's 6 photos on page 17. It is it's labeled number 84. Hold on, I'm gonna put it in the doc for you guys.
All right.
I found it. Okay, I put it right above tiers since there's no way we're ever getting to tiers.
That's right.
All right, so it's in the doc now.
All right, boom.
Page 17, number 84. This is the point, Josh. Josh gets this point all the time.
What
It's so
beast.
annoying.
Set page
17. I'm sorry. It's not 84. It's 87. 87.
Larry Steele in the chat says Greco has a dumb rule where you can't touch their legs.
That's factual.
Rule 87. All right, let me look.
It's 87. It's on page 17.
Okay, so he's got overseers when the pressure is applied against the joint. Yeah, he's causing hyperextension there, Ben.
Bro, no one's ever hyperextended anyone's knee like that.
Well, I don't understand what is happening here. I'm just looking at this picture.
I see what they're saying, but it just never happened. Because what they're saying is the upper part is putting force on like the knee, and the bottom is putting force on the ankle, and it's moving the leg in a way it doesn't move. But literally no one's ever done that, and literally 100% of the time this happens, it's just by accident. Like no one's actually trying to do anything with it.
So it's basically when the foot is not like deep in that knee pit.
Yeah,
like
so
really
you know what I'm doing right now? I should have told this because now every coach is going to be like Josh Wagner, and they're all going to be pointing this one out this year for a point for their guys.
Dang. I like number 84. The figure 4 around the over. It looks so ridiculous.
Well, so both legs. You should be able to figure 4 both legs. I don't see why not. That's ridiculous. Let's just go through all these rules.
It looks ridiculous. They are. I think that's why. It almost looks as ridiculous as the.
Whoa! Look at 89. Look at 89.
I got a lot. Who
would ever do that?
Dayton Fix Austin DeSanto. Remember that?
For those
look at 92. That's the Spencer Lee special that he did like on a very regular basis, which is never called illegal.
For those just watching, 89 is just somebody on top just prying the person on bottom's face up.
That should be
on the forehead. They're doing it on the. They're not doing like a camel clutch like on the chin, like Sergeant Slaughter. They're doing it up here and like ripping his forehead.
I think all these moves should be illegal.
The full Nelson should be illegal. Let's make that legal.
Yeah. Let's go. Start the
We
movie.
should just go back to catch wrestling if we're being honest.
Yeah, I tried doing that at Flow maybe like 8 years ago. We did season 1 of Flow Premier League, and then it was all right. It wasn't great because it's hard to get a lot of guys to wrestle, unfortunately. And I come down, we're talking about season 2, and then all of a sudden it gets distracted, and everyone says we need to do pin or submit, and then it never happened, and FPL was killed.
Kids today are just too soft.
Yeah,
I would love it. That would be awesome. I mean, that's kind of Christian. That's kind of what. During Corona, I actually just told you this the other day. We were talking to Gordon Ryan about doing like a wrestlers versus jiu-jitsu because during Corona everything was shut down, and we had kind of discussed and made something that was similar to catch wrestling. Because my point was why the wrestling versus jiu-jitsu thing never works is because the submission is still the only way to end the bout, and so therefore, if a wrestler gets a lead, they're just going to try to stall because there is no way a wrestler is going to submit a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. It's freaking impossible, right? But if you let us pin them, we can end the bout also. We need to have a way to end the bout for both parties, which would be catch wrestling.
I'm not ruling it out. Not the worst idea. Okay.
Fun.
Next question. This is interesting. Pat Hitchler. Recently, it seems in order to have your son be who's number 1 level in wrestling, you need to spend $30,000 a year sending him around the country and building him a personal gym in your basement. Is there any chance
that is not true
for
at all.
A financially weaker kid to excel at that level? So I will say, I do think there is some correlation with some of the investment that some of the athletes get, and there is an advantage to it that's undeniable.
That's fair.
I also think there is a way to do it without it being financially ruinous, but you do need to be in proximity to a certain level of coaching, right, for it to be possible.
Well, I mean, like I'll say, like the Rainey brothers, they stayed home, and I think they're both their coaches. Booked Black. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the other guy's name. I have known this guy since he was like 15. Jarvis Elam. They're great, right? I'm sure they have some higher level coaches come in, but they're doing a great job, and those guys stayed home. I actually think people overestimate the effect of going to like a Wyoming Sam or Blair or those things, because a lot of times when those schools recruit those kids, they're already like near the best, So it's not like they're taking crappy kids and elevating them. They're generally going out to recruit the best kids, and then maintaining their skill level. In certain cases, like Lulidol, I think he's continuing to get better for sure. I'm sure we could point out some other kids also, right? But no, I think the effect of that is overrated. You have someone like a Divino. He stayed home. Obviously, I think you'd say the Valiant Prep guys, they have access to high level coaching, which is true, but they're all staying home. Who else? Well, Mirasola and Sinclair, they both stayed home. They both wrestled for their own high school program.
Well, you're listing people. I mean, Divino's in Illinois, Chicago area. Your guys have you near you. Like that's a big part of it. So like if you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have a good coach, it's going to be really hard to be good at wrestling. That is true. You probably will need to. You'll probably need to move to somewhere with better partners or coaches, or you need to become a really good coach, which it's not that easy. So I think,
but the $30,000 a year, I don't see where they get that. And actually, I think there are people that make you feel that way. And Max and I would both push back on this and say, and obviously I will say we're a little bit spoiled because we're in the Midwest, because we can drive to a lot of things. And if you're in Florida, maybe that's not the case. But we don't really have our guys fly to that many tournaments, right? We go to the U.S. Open. In Vegas, that's going to be a fly for almost everybody. We can drive to Fargo, but a lot of people would fly to that. And then everything else is like, okay, go to your local regional, Northern Plains or whatever. There's one in every region. Go to your state tournament. There's likely a couple other kind of tough-ish tournaments somewhere close. Like, you don't need to be going to a national tournament every other weekend. And there are people who make you feel that way, and that's wrong. It's not correct.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. That's the main reason I wanted to show this question is like you don't have to have that level of competition commitment. And to Ben's point, it could be counterproductive because you're focused too much on competition, not enough on development, which in high school should be the main focus. But there is a dynamic of or the aspect of if you need to prove yourself in order to get on the radar for colleges.
That's true. That's true. But like I would say, it's too many. You know, honestly, with Max, one of the big debates we had for a long time was I wanted our guys to have 4 opportunities because, and obviously if you live in certain states, and I said the Midwest, we have a good options, but the East Coast is even better, right? Because they have all these great in-season tournaments. Wisconsin kids can't even travel, and so for a while there was no one recruiting our guys at all during the season, nowhere. And now we even have good kids where that's not the case. But so my argument was Super 32, UW US Open 17 and 20U, Fargo, and then junior cadet duels. Those would be the 4 places our guys can really get recruited. You know, and Max is like, I don't even want him to go Super 32. Let's just keep developing during that point in time. He only wanted 3 options, right? But there's some of these dudes who are like, you got to go to every single dual tournament, and literally they want their kids going to 15 really high-level tournaments a year. And I don't think that's productive. I really don't. The point I will 100% agree with you on, Chris, is you need some level of relatively high-level coaching. But there is also a lot of access online now. But that would be incumbent on the kid being really smart and being able to figure it out, which is tough.
Yep. With that, we should go. But yes, success is accessible. There are some barriers, but you don't have to spend $30,000 to do it.
Yeah. And honestly, this sport's cheaper than that. I mean, look at the other sports. I don't know if you guys do this because you, Kristen, you just like wrestling. Other sports are like insanely expensive compared to wrestling.
Baseball's nuts. If we didn't just do the local league thing, it'd be crazy. But we're buying local, ethically sourced baseball. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't spend $30,000 a year.
No,
it's okay. We will be back Thursday, 2 days from now, with another fresh FRL. Maybe Shane, maybe not. Maybe Tiers, maybe not.
If we're doing Tiers, we can't have Shane on. I'm making you make a choice here.
He probably has football to do.
He's probably yeah. Sorry, guys, gonna be in Cincinnati. Go Bearcats. All right, thanks so much. I don't know if the music's playing or not, but either way, we're out of here. Have a great Tuesday. Goodbye.